YouTube, vinyl community, Jefferson Airplane fans, random people on the internet, my name is Giggens, and we are here today to talk about Jefferson Airplane's 1968 album Crown of Creation, released on RCA Records. This album, I feel like, is probably one of their best albums, and from what I can read online, people are saying this is one of the most overlooked albums. I'd agree with that. There's no giant single off this album. There were two singles released, Greasy Heart and Crown of Creation, and neither did super well in the charts. The album itself did go to the top 10, kind of reaffirming that this was an album band and that their single days were kind of over. I mean, following up White Rabbit and Somebody to Love, I mean, those were two excellent singles, but the album, I think, is where Jefferson Airplane really lived. And on this album in particular, this was their last one to really dabble with psychedelic rock. After this, it kind of got into the hard rock and country feel, like with Volunteers and Bark. Two really good albums, but I feel like there's something special about this one, especially lyrically, instrumentally, vocally. They hit all the marks on this album very well. Lather is the opening track on this thing, and it's an acoustic song for the most part that Grace Slick wrote about her sort of boyfriend, Spencer Dryden, the drummer of the group, who apparently they were having an affair together, but it was the 60s, man. Like, everybody was with everybody, man. Peace and love. No autographs. Yeah, this is a really warm, sweet vocal from Grace, and I think that's what I like the most about this album, is that her vocals are in a bunch of different places. It's not just that, like, really amazing Somebody to Love vocal. She can be, like, really sweet or really soft, and also super powerful. Lots of dynamic range going on with everybody in particular, but Grace, I feel like she really sticks out on this album. And this is an excellent opening track, and the vibe that this track gives off kind of sets up the tone for the rest of the album, where there's a lot of space to breathe, a lot of experimentation, a lot of new territory and left turns, and the band really playing around in the studio, figuring out what they can do, making a really interesting album. In Time is it starts off kind of quiet, really like a groovy acoustic feel going on, and then the drums and the electric riffs kick in, and there's some excellent harmonies going on. I love the guitar solo on this track, and there's lots of roaming qualities on this song, lots of character about just kind of like searching, musically searching. And that's what I love about psychedelic music and this period, especially when the album was starting to get taken seriously as a complete thing. Thanks, Beatles and Beach Boys. You know, it was kind of like, oh, we could do more on this thing. It's not just a collection of crap with two good songs on it. Like, we can make a really serious statement here about the culture we're in and the political climate. And, you know, times are kind of rough right now. You know, this came out in 1968. It wasn't exactly a happy year. A lot of horrible things happened in that year. And this album reflects a lot of that lyrically. And I think the feel they give off in some of the songs, like later on in the album, kind of complement how they were feeling, being a little left of center, anti-establishment, the government kind of sucks, that kind of mood. Triad is a song written by David Crosby, and I really like this song. Apparently he wrote it for the Byrds, and they were like, nope, we're not singing that one, because it's kind of about dating three people being together at once. You can put those images together however you want it, but Grace was like, yeah, I'll sing it, and it's awesome. I love where this song goes. You know, it's got that Baroque acoustic feel that David Crosby was really good at, creating those vibes, like one of your kind of vibe. And I really, again, I think space is an important word to use on this album, because when you have a song that takes you somewhere, it can breathe and transport you to a different feeling or vibe, and you close your eyes and you just listen to the song and really have like a constructive listen to it, that's a song well done, and that's an album well done. Because if you just get everything laid out for you, I mean, there's definitely moments and places and albums and bands for that, and I feel like that's needed, but it's nice to get taken away and transported where there's periods of dynamic range, where sometimes it's really quiet, and sometimes you don't hear anything, and then it comes back and it's faint, and you're really intently listening. This is one of those songs. A mood piece, I guess you can call it. Star Trek is the first like really heavy track on this thing, and this is a lot of fun. I mean, it's got a really excellent, soulful vocal take on this one. Lots of crazy wah-wah pedal action going on with the guitars. which I love how it jumps into Share a Little Joke, which has this like really suspended bass line that just hangs for a while as these like wah-wah heavy guitars are caressing the bass line and the drums are just kind of doing their own thing out in outer space. And again, the voice, the vocals are very like Jack Bruce on this one from Cream, and that yeah before the solo kicks in is excellent, and then the drums kick in more, and it's just this psychedelic free rock jam, and it's like, yeah, like this is some good stuff. And then closing out side one, I'm gonna butcher this song title name, Kushingura. I don't know how to say it. This is an instrumental that's like just about a minute and a half long, and it's probably one of the first songs on a rock album to really play around with electronic instruments in a super experimental way. It's very trippy. There's lots of high, shrill pitched stuff going on. Kind of creates a very sci-fi-esque experience. Pretty weird stuff, but also really cool because you're already in this experimental phase, this mood, this vibe, and so when you get to that point, you're kind of ready for it. And then because it's so short, it's not like too much. So then side one ends, and you put side two on, and you got this crazy, cool, funky use of the guitar wah pedal on If You Feel. And the pedal is used in a soloing effect, which kind of just creates this vibe in the background again. There's an excellent melodic bass counterpart going on, again with that Jack Bruce vocal styling. More great group vocals going on. I love the interplay with the male-female vocal thing going on. Their vocals just blend really well together. Crown of Creation, this was one of the singles, and this is a really charging, like, anthemic rocker. Great harmonies again, really kind of like spazzy, frantic solo, and the middle lyrics are great, and I'm going to read these middle lyrics here. In loyalty to their kind, they cannot tolerate our minds, and in loyalty to our kind, we cannot tolerate their obstruction. That should be on a t-shirt, man. Like, that's just so well put and elegant. It's rock and roll fusing with the times, fusing with politics, and being so intelligently put. Well done, Jefferson Airplane, on that one. Well done. There's lots of cool bass at the end of the song, too. Ice Cream Phoenix is a song that I feel builds over and over again, and there's lots of good vocal harmonies, and I feel like the song stands out from the rest of the album because of its vocal harmonies. It kind of reminds me of Triad in that sense, and Lather to a certain degree, where Grace is doing different stuff with her voice, and I really like what she does. It's nice to see her go different places and kind of play around with her own textures and her own sonic dynamic range. And I've used that word a lot on this review, and I realize that, but that's because it's everywhere on this album. It's great that it takes you places, and it's great that it's lots of highs, lots of lows, lots of middles. It's an experience. It's a record, man. This album in particular, I really feel is meant for vinyl. You put it on, you sit down, you listen to it, that's it. You just get wrapped up in the experience, and it's so good. Greasy Heart was the single from this album, and I think it like just cracked the top 100. I think it hit like number 98, and then disappeared after a couple of weeks on the charts. Their single days were over by this point, and I don't think they really cared. I think they were more focused on making an album, and the album itself hit the top 10. So, I mean, they did something right. But this song is really cool. It's a really fitting title for this super loose rocker, and it ends with a really long vocal note drawn out. More guitars getting psychedelic, and I really like Grace's impassioned vocals on this one. The last song on the album, The House at Peroneal Corners, a very anti-government, anti-establishment track. And this song in particular is a really slow psychedelic groove that sucks you in and doesn't let you go. It's these thunderous drums that travel wherever they want to go, and these soaring guitars with just solos all over the place, and the vocals just demanding your attention with really well thought out lyrics. There's an organ that's being stabbed in the background the whole time, and cymbal crashes going on all over the place. Lots of trippy effects. Real crazy, powerful ending. It almost sounds like the cover looks with that bomb going off. It just sounds like an explosion of ideas and feelings and sentiment, very much of its time. you know, from what I can read in books, wasn't there. Yeah. Here's the back cover. Shows the group pretty trippy looking. And it comes with this thing called a Brummis sheet, which from what I understood is the name of Robert Kennedy's dog. But there's the dog. Aww, good shot of the dog. And you got the lyrics in the back, which is quite cool. And the record itself is on the old RCA Victor label. And this copy happens to be in stereo. It was released in mono. It was their last mono release. I was really surprised by this album. This was one that I've owned for a very long time, but either haven't played before or it's been a long time since I've heard it. And it blew me away to play this out. It blew me away. I would give this thing an 8 all day long. I can't wait to listen to it again and get wrapped up and lost in this package. It takes you to a different place, takes you to a different time. The whole thing is very much 1968. And if you're looking for something psychedelic and definitely experimental in nature, but also retaining a little bit of a pop feel to create songs that are experimental but still in the modern, comfortable song structure that still like to go play in the parts unknown, dig this. I think you'll really like it. My name is Giggens. This has been Album Reviews with the Jefferson Airplane and their Crown of Creation, 1968 RCA Records. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next album review, because that's what we do. See you later.